Okay, so you've been wondering about love online. Like, how do you even know if it's the real deal or not? And you sent over some really interesting notes about it all.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are trying to figure out this whole online dating thing.
Totally. And we're going to take a deep dive into your notes here, and hopefully we could all learn a little something about what to look for when it comes to finding something real online versus something maybe a little less so, you know?
Exactly.
So to start off, uh, according to your notes, how would you define sincere online love? Like, what makes it stand out from just, casual flirting or whatever?
Well, it looks like your notes hit the nail on the head when they talk about deep communication and really understanding each other.
Right. It's got to be more than just, liking each other's selfies.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, online, you don't get all those little hints from body language or tone of voice, so actually sharing your feelings and being honest about what you want is huge.
And your notes also talk a lot about putting in the time and effort.
Oh, absolutely. Like actually listening to what the other person is saying and making them feel like they matter, even though you're just, typing on a screen.
That consistency seems super important.
It definitely suggests someone is really invested, not just, dipping their toes in the water.
For sure. And then your notes bring up the idea of meeting in person, which totally changes the game, right?
Totally. It takes things from the digital world to the real world, which can really solidify trust.
Because then you can actually see if someone matches up to how they've been presenting themselves online.
Exactly. It's like bridging that gap between the online persona and the actual person.
Okay, so that's the sincere side. But what about the flip side? Like when online love might not be so genuine.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Your notes talk about deception being a major red flag in those situations.
Meaning it's not just a lack of deep connection, but potentially someone actively trying to mislead the other person.
Right, and you pointed out how anonymity plays a big role in that.
Oh yeah, because it's way easier to hide behind a fake profile or use photos that aren't actually them.
And we've all heard those stories about catfish.
Yeah, unfortunately, those are pretty common. And that anonymity just makes it easier for people to be less accountable for their actions.
So true. And your notes also mention how important it is to look out for inconsistent details, or if someone's using a stock photo for their profile picture.
Right, those can be instant red flags.
Definitely. And then there's the whole issue of superficiality.
When a relationship is basically just about having fun in the moment with no real intention of building a lasting connection.
Right. And even scarier is the idea of emotional deception, where someone is literally manipulating the other person for their own benefit.
Oh yeah, that's where things can get really messy, and it makes you wonder how many people out there are getting caught up in situations like that without even realizing it.
It's definitely a reminder that even though it's online, it can still have a huge impact on people's lives.
Totally. So with all this in mind, how can someone tell the difference between what's sincere and what's not when they're interacting online?
Well, your notes have some really practical advice for that, and they emphasize video calls as a way to verify someone's identity and get a better sense of their emotions.
It's about bringing back that human element that can get lost in all the texting and messaging.
Totally. You can pick up on so much more when you can actually see the person you're talking to.
Exactly. And your notes also suggest paying close attention to someone's actions over their words.
Right, because anyone can say all the right things, but do their actions back it up? Are they consistently showing care and attention?
Exactly. It's about looking for those patterns of behavior.
And another key point from your notes is to not rush into trusting someone.
Which is good advice for any relationship, but especially online where it's easier to create a misleading first impression.
For sure. So based on your notes, what would you say is the main takeaway about online love?
It seems like the core message is that real, genuine love can absolutely happen online.
But both people have to be open and willing to put in the work to build trust.
Exactly. And being cautious and thinking critically is crucial because, unfortunately, the potential for insincerity is always out there.
So to wrap things up, we've talked about how sincere online love often involves open communication, consistent care, and eventually meeting in person.
Right. And on the other hand, we've got those warning signs like anonymity, superficiality, and manipulative behavior.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. Based on everything we've discussed from your notes, what specific things in online interactions do you think are the strongest indicators of either a real connection or a potentially deceptive one?
And how can you use that knowledge to navigate your own online experiences? Because let's face it, this whole online dating thing isn't going away anytime soon.
Definitely something to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.